Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Paul Pilande, Council Member of the Society of Interior Designers Singapore and the Principal Designer of Arid Builders Private Limited, an office fit out and indoor air quality company in Singapore. I'm in the practice of designing workplace for the past 20 years, and today I will be talking about indoor air quality in relation to indoor workplace design. Okay? Yep. Okay, so let me start. A few months ago, the WHO has declared the coronavirus as being airborne for a few hours. It can linger in the air for longer than expected times, probably around 6 to 12 to even 24 hours. That means infected persons, even just speaking, can aerosolize the air with the coronavirus projectiles in the air. So you can see people just speaking and having some like singing or coughing or singing aloud may really amplify the projectiles in the air. This has increased the chances of acquiring COVID through indoor recirculating air. So basically, it has been declared that really the source of transmission of the virus is through indoor air, indoor recirculating air. Okay, and then personally, okay, I do not see a future that we will be working from home, as this is not really a sustainable way. Or I think definitely one way or another we might need to really go get back to the office. So therefore, now that we are aware of the potential threats of airborne pathogens and viruses, we have to be a bit more conscious about the air we breathe. Indoor air quality matters. We spend 80% of our time indoors, and indoor air is a lot worse inside, and it's an environmental risk. And we usually catch illness through indoor air. Okay, so particularly in the workplace, it is very important that indoor air is really something that we can look into moving forward to the new normal. Okay, so in the past, immediately after the pandemic, this is what uh, most designers are proposing. This is what we see immediately. I mean, come like a year ago, when we just opened around June or July, you can see a lot of this type of plexiglass that act as barriers to block direct contact of the aerosolized projectiles. Well, this for me is really not a good idea because I think it's ineffective and it's dangerous because of the sharp edges, right? Since aerosol tend to go up the air, and then slowly it lingers above, and then it slowly goes down. So this type of measure might really not be workable. And in fact, there are usual ways of maintaining good indoor air quality already through the HVAC system. And adding more frequent fresh air exchange into the indoor space to minimize the spread of the pathogens will be a very, very good way already. I mean, it's an old way, it's a traditional way, but ventilation is key, for to fight the spread of the virus. Okay. So currently now, even companies, even organizations, they're already talking about implementing in the near future, implementing more indoor air measures to safeguard our indoor environmental quality. Okay, so for us interior designers, of course, we need to think more of doing our part as designers, not really putting a lot of mechanical devices and stuff like that. Okay, so for us, I mean, what we can share are the key elements of a healthy air in the workplace. Okay, so what I wanted to touch now is about green interior design. Okay, so green interior design is putting more plants. Okay, it's a we call it a biophilic workspace. Okay, so as you can see, this is an office in Europe, so they are starting to adapt, putting more plants. You know, to first of all, definitely it will beautify the environment, but also at the same time it gives a breath of fresh air into the space. So the benefits of green workplace are according to a European study. Okay, I got this from a European study. Okay, the benefits of a green workplace are general air purification of volatile pollutants and dusts. Okay, so but again, this needs to be real plants, and there are plants that are I can say not all plants are good for indoor. They are plants, but it's for another subject. There are plants that are really meant to improve indoor air quality. Okay, and then there is this reduction of headache by up to 24%. So besides seeing the plants, you know, the plants also secrete some chemicals that tend to reduce the headache by 24%. And then reduction of eye irritation by up to 52%. Okay. And then a reduction of energy consumption. This one is the sustainability part. It reduces the consumption for room ventilation by as much as at least 15%, 15%. Okay. So, I mean, of course, the key in controlling the spread of the virus is one of the key components to control the spread of the virus is ventilation. Okay, so I mean in Singapore they say trace, I mean social distancing, vaccination, and ventilation. Okay, so the last is it will increase there's an increase in work productivity by as much as 20%. So if you notice, a lot of offices now are really adapting this biophilic workplace environment. So as designers, as interior designers, this is one of the best way we can contribute using design, using aesthetics to incorporate into an office environment to at least improve indoor air quality. Okay. So the next one is incorporating passive and natural lighting and cooling. So what does it mean? So basically, if you look at this space, okay, the space is all is well lit, it's open, it's flexible. You can see there's a lot of open spaces or flexible spaces that you can make it bigger. Okay, because number one, light also affects the growth of molds and fungi. So, if there are constantly dark spaces in your workplace, it will be susceptible to the growth of microorganisms. You know, I mean, the lighting definitely, if it's cold and then, you know, and it's damp and it's humid, you know, of course, and less light, then you will expect a moldy environment. Okay, so I think it's better to make the the light better, and then you know if you see this type of design where there's open spaces and stuff like that, it also encourages some passive cooling. That means airflow can travel from one place to another, can circulate better, because one important aspect for the design of of spaces, especially now at the times of COVID, is airflow. Space and airflow. We need to know how the air flows into the space, so we can at least contribute to a better indoor air environment as designers. Okay. So the next one is spaced out furniture layout. Okay, so what we mean by spaced out furniture layout is definitely in relation to I mean spacing, you know, what do you call this? When we don't need to really be close to each other, and then of course the ceiling as much as possible should be higher rather than it's lower, because the tendency of the projectiles of the virus, if you noticed in the first video that I was running, and based on our study, is it tends to go up. Okay, once you speak, okay, the level of the virus is from our mouth level, slowly it rises. So if your ceiling is high enough, like 4 meters, 5 meters, it will be better because it's like an open environment. That means, you know, there will be, social distancing will definitely help, but a higher ceiling, a higher volume of ceiling will at least lessen the chances of having all of those aerosolized projectiles down. So by the time, usually sometimes when it comes down, you know, it's already there's already a certain time frame that they might not be as potent, because for based on our study, it takes a certain amount of viral load for this for people to catch the virus. It's not like just a few particles of the virus can get us sick. There should be a viral load, you know, like people directly talking to us and without a both without a mask, then you know there's a high chance that you will definitely get the virus. You know, but for small amounts, it's subjective, probably based on how our body handles the virus. Okay. So besides spacing, you know, airflow and social distancing, okay, let me talk about the next one, which is we have to adapt definitely new trends and technologies to improve indoor air quality. Currently now, a lot of businesses are starting to focus, even for us, you know, from a workplace design, we are also trying to specialize more into putting our efforts into improving indoor air quality. Is I think it's besides having a nice office, having a fully sustainable green office. Another element now is indoor air quality, to make sure that the occupants are environmentally healthy and safe. Okay. So how we will do, these are just samples of current modern workplaces where they try to at least integrate this type of design, layout, and stuff. Others put far UV lights. So this far UV lights are also uh, not harmful to humans, but it's not yet really proven. Okay, so let's not go into that unless you know there's really a very special study that to know that all of this far UV or 222 nanometer UV that kills the virus on surfaces are safe. Okay, but you can see they integrate lighting, they integrate spaces, they integrate plants, you know, to spruce up the space and also to improve indoor air quality. Okay. And then the next one is this integrating technology is what I mean. Okay. This is one of our latest solutions to improve indoor air quality, which we presented in one of our competition in the Capital Land. We call it the Visualize, Monitor, and Control solution. So what does it do is we allow people to see the air they breathe. We make the invisible visible. So how do we do it? Is we can put screens, or we intend to put monitoring screens, all of those huge screens into public spaces for people, or occupants to see the air that they breathe. So we basically empower the people to know what air are they breathing. Are they breathing healthy air, or is it susceptible to virus, or what, or is the PM 2.5 too high? Is the carbon dioxide too high, or any TVOC involved? So how we do it is we put a screen, and then we integrate indoor air quality sensors, okay, and then we put our UV air disinfection devices to control the spread. That means the visualize, and then the monitor, and then the control. So there's one sample that we did in one of our pilots. Okay, so from virus index number 2, from number 8, which is bad, and then after a few hours of running the our air disinfection device in the background, it become 2. Okay, so this is how it works. You can see that the screen is connected to the sensors, and the sensors are connected to the system. So how it's connected to the system is through smart devices. So basically, it's connected through the cloud. Okay, there's cloud integration involved, and then so what do you call this? The sensor will trigger all our devices to act if it detects that there is something needs to be addressed. For example, TVOC is high, then it can trigger our devices to act. PM 2.5, it can trigger the devices, trigger events to act, and stuff like that. So this is how it works. This is how visualize, monitor, and control works. Okay, so it's a very helpful solution. Is because currently now we don't know. I mean, we are too conscious about the food we eat, about the water we drink. We need to make sure that it's clean. But how about the air we breathe? We always disregard this part. So now with the VMC solution, we empower people to see the air they breathe. Okay, in an occupied space. Okay. So the next one is, of course, there are some other technologies like automated natural ventilation systems. So these are actuators, okay, that automatically open windows. Is because one key element is fresh air ventilation coming into the space. Okay, so this one can also integrate to our VMC system. So if it thinks that the CO2 is high, then it can open the windows and the fresh air can come in. Okay, so all of these are cloud-based solutions that can work together with the VMC. Okay, and then lastly, okay, there are other new technologies about air purifications and paints, formaldehyde-free finishes and stuff like that. So it brings down the level of bad air, especially after you do a renovation. Okay, so this one is called Gosh. It's a local company. I mean, we use it also in some of our offices. Uh, of course, in replacement for all of those ICI, Nippon, and stuff like that. Um, it's quite good. I mean, whenever we do our installation, we also do the test to make sure that all of these things work in harmony together. Okay, so I think I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So if you have other questions, if you need to know more about IAQ, you can follow me on LinkedIn, where I regularly post articles related to the office or about indoor air quality. Or alternatively, you can join us as members of the Society of Interior Designers Singapore. Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah, and
Thank you, James, for sharing a truly insightful presentation. Now, we will invite Mr. Tong Cheng Liu, founder and managing director of Spirit of Design Analogy Private Limited, SODA. Mr. Tong is also the Vice President of Society of Interior Designers Singapore, SIDS, and Mr. Hendra Sutejo, the founder and regional managing director of Org Associates Private Limited, to join James for a panel discussion as well as to answer some of the questions from the participants. Over to you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay, so James, for COVID, we could also spread by airflow. So you could control the situation via monitor or lenses. How do you apply it if we have a space constraint?
Basically, how we look at this, how we look at this solution is not really for a very large rollout first. You know, we are still studying the possibility of rolling it out for an entire building. But for now, we wanted to focus first on smaller spaces, but open spaces. Okay, like restaurants, like office lobbies, like reception areas and gyms, okay, clinics, you know. So it's we try to target the smaller companies first because we roll this out as a subscription based model. That means what will happen is uh, we have the screen, okay? The entire package will come with the screen, will come with the IAQ monitor, and will come with the devices to clean the air. So it depends upon the area. So we separate different tiers on different areas. So if there are space constraints, like for example, different partitions in offices, and they wanted to roll it out in the entire office, then they have to have different tiers. It will just be a lot more, but this is how it works for now because currently we also need to isolate in order for our we need to isolate particular areas to make the solution more effective.
Okay. What about Cheng Yu, your side? Any comment on this?
Well, I guess space constraint is a definite in Singapore context.
Yes.
The implementation of robotics technology definitely ease the issues of the space constraint. On top of that, I think I'm commenting this in comparison to what I've experienced overseas, where robotics are used for courier delivery services. This actually reduces the usage of vehicles on the roads and in turn cleaner air and reduces traffic congestions. And also all this encompasses the further reduction of the possibilities for virus transmission.
I see. So there's also the item on formaldehyde, anti-formaldehyde paint. Does it really works? How much more value do you add?
Okay, formaldehyde for gush, it's just one element of the building material that lessens the formaldehyde. You know, usually formaldehyde is coming from organic surfaces, from woods, from glue, from carpets and stuff like that. These are the ones that also increase the TVOC. So, I mean, definitely paint is one, is because it covers a bigger surface. But with Gush, since it's a formaldehyde-free paint, then it doesn't secrete this type of volatile organic compounds. So you are less one element of a building material when we use this type of paint. But I can understand. I mean, I think there's quite a number of other paints, but you know, because we are also having this Healthy Building Alliance, Singapore Healthy Building Alliance, and Gush is one of our consortium partners. So I mean, you know, I'm just trying out most of their paint, you know, rather than the others. But I'm sure I think ICI and Nippon also have counterparts for Gush when it comes to formaldehyde-free paints. Yeah.
Okay. We have a question from the floor. We have recently seen the boom of startup focusing on LOT system for air quality and related system. For example, Yoohoo was backed by Wavemaker Partners, a top-tier venture investor in Southeast Asia. how fast would you expect enterprise to adopt such solution to allow them to achieve critical mass?
ASAP, as soon as possible. So currently now, like what I say, uh, indoor air quality businesses are starting to boom. I mean, the pandemic is not yet over. We're still at the middle of the pandemic, and I think it's very, very important for us to, you know, to hit exactly the source, which is air, because in the past we've been focusing. That's why the pandemic became so big, because I think we made a mistake. I mean, for us, what we feel is we made a mistake on looking more into surface, but it's not in the surface; it's in the air. So for us, we already know that. I think most of the people already know, that the COVID-19 or the coronavirus is airborne, but it was just too late for CDC and for WHO to address this. And then what happens is, it spreads faster, right? Because we are still washing our hands, but the virus is going into our nose, right? And there's no direct contact unless the virus goes into your hand, you hold your nose, then it goes inside, right? But we touch surfaces here and there. So there's some mistake. Not really. I think admittedly a lot of people have admitted this type of mistake, that the declaration came a bit late when there's really a spread going on already. So that's why now indoor air quality is really one area of business that is starting to boom. A lot of people are they're coming up with indoor air quality, indoor air fabric, indoor air wallpaper, indoor air paint. So everything is about indoor air already. And then when it comes to answer the question of when will companies adopt this. Currently now our VMC, we are rolling out our first few batches in August, with Capital Land, in the Westgate, in the Raffles City, in the Citadines Shore, and then we're also talking to a few embassies. Okay, and then of course LHN Group, they already installed it. So there's some adoption already going on. That's why our objective is to come up with smaller areas for sale, because the bigger companies can really embrace it and adapt it on a very faster pace. But if you look at smaller businesses like restaurants definitely should need. Imagine, if you can see the air that you breathe once you go inside the restaurant, right? Then you can see all green. Oh, the air is clean. Then you will have a peace of mind. It's about peace of mind. It's about you going inside the space, knowing that you're breathing clean air together with some other people. So the adoption is should be faster. And of course, we've been working with you for a long time already. So I know I know. I mean, they're one of the best indoor air quality sensors in the world. You can look at it on your mobile phone. Now we are running it on screens. So to answer this, I think the adoption will be faster. It will be multiplied by 2 times, 3 times every month, from August onwards, after we roll out the solution. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So Ching Yu, anything on your side?
I totally agree with James. In fact, at this point of time, when we speak, we are also working on a project, a retail bank project. And one of the requirements for the design brief is to observe indoor air quality and to actually consider air cleaners to be part of the MEP design. So I totally agree with James. And thank you, James, for sharing his insightful information.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we also are almost in time for the second round of Ching Yu's presentation.
Yeah,
So maybe Ching Yu
forward.
Oh,
can
yes.
on his presentation.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Next, may we invite Mr. Tong Cheng Yu to stay as he will be presenting to us his topic on redefining design in the new normal. Over to you, Cheng Yu.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Buildtech Asia, for inviting me to be part of this mega event. And thank you, Society of Interior Designers Singapore, SIDS, for putting me onto this keynote speaker. Let me just do a quick introduction about myself, my background. I'm Cheng Yu, the founder and managing director of SODA, a spatial design consultant with 22 years of industrial experience. My other appointments in the industry includes adjunct lecturer with NAFA for the past 12 years, and also currently the vice president for Society of Interior Designers Singapore. Just last week, I'm appointed as advisory committee member by Singapore Polytechnic for the School of Architecture and Built Environment. So this academic roles allows me to conduct deep researches and discussions on topics that will steer the future of design and construction industries. SODA is a design practice providing B2B spatial design consultancy for the commercial and retail sectors. We've completed more than 250 projects in 8 different countries and won numerous awards across the globe for the past 11 years, including Top 50 Design Distinction Award finalists by IFI in 2020. So these are some of our clients that we have served and currently are serving still. So my topic for today is related to F&B design. As we all know, the pandemic has greatly affected the F&B businesses worldwide. According to the market research done by Nelson Corporation last year, there are evidence showing that there are more consumers who will stop dining out and rely on online food delivery. Those who shop online for the first time during the outbreak, in Singapore context is like during the circuit breaker, they are very likely to do so again in the next 12 months. So the behavioral patterns across markets has definitely changed. So the big question is, when will it return to normal? The answer may well be never. And therefore, this has become our new normal. In our research, we summarize 5 key observations on what COVID-19 taught us. Number 1, social distancing becomes habitual. Full dine-in capacity will not recover soon. Therefore, the need for convertible seating areas and new forms of seating arrangement is currently the hot topic in F&B businesses. Number 2, takeaway orders have increased significantly, and therefore there are a lot of discussion on using more sustainable food packaging and various technology for contactless ordering system. Number 3, higher standards for hygiene leads to exploration of automation to reduce food contacting with human and air. Delivery service took away 25 to 30% of sales revenue. That's point number 4. And therefore, F&B operators are struggling to explore how to create multiple revenue streams. That leads to my last point, kitchen versatility, which allows the F&B operators to expand their menus or even to sell pre-packed foodstuffs to be delivered to consumers. So with these design responses, we look at a typical food hall establishment pre-COVID with seating arrangement, or rather the seating area taking up at least 60 to 70% of the total floor space. The next slide shows how we are assessing the current pandemic scenario, which has converted individual store kitchens into a centralized kitchen where resources, ingredients, manpower can be co-shared for F&B operators. And a dedicated takeout area for delivery riders and drivers to pick up their orders at this designated point instead of allowing them to mingle into other areas. And we introduce a transfigurable space to tackle the volatile situation of safety measures. As you can see in Singapore context again, we went from 2 per table to 5 per table to 8 per table, and now we are back to 2 per table. So this is a very fluid situation where it requires volatile solutions. And therefore, this transfigurable space, it can be actually used as a retail component for prepared foodstuffs or additional seating areas where the dining in regulation relaxes. In a situation where we experience another lockdown and dining in activity is not allowed, the transfigurable space can be extended to replace seating areas with more retail component or even food lockers that will create other form of revenues for the F&B operators. With research on how we can integrate technology and automation into the spaces to reduce food coming in contact with human and air, because these are the two key factors that actually transmit the virus. So this includes having food lockers for takeouts and automated pickup points for dining in. One of the key design considerations is how this integrated technology complements with users and centralized kitchen concept. Sustainability is also one of the key components to consider how we can handle food waste responsibly by planning for food digester, which can biologically convert solid food waste into gray water or organic fertilizers for additional revenue again. This can actually reduce up to 99% of waste for any F&B operators. Further leveraging on technology and automation, there's a vast ocean of opportunities how deep tech can pivot an F&B business. On the surface, it can be developed into a secure tracking system to monitor purchasing habits, food wastages, contactless delivery, etc. So with this, I shall end my presentation. These are just some visuals to show what we are currently working on. Like for example, the food lockers and how we handle the orderings, new way of ordering systems, configurable spaces. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ching Yu, for sharing another insightful presentation. We would now again like to invite James Hendra to be back on screen to join Ching Yu for a panel discussion and another round of Q&A. Over to you, please, gentlemen.
Yep. Okay, Ching Yu, so space is a constraint in Singapore. So do you implement robotics at this stage or progressively?
Well, by looking at the current situation, the use of robotics definitely needs to be introduced in stages. This is to transit some job holders to undertake new scope of work, and also for users to familiarize with the usages of such robotics. Because when there are robotics introduced into a work process, definitely there will be labor that will be obsoleted. So I think if we implement it too sharply, a lot of people will lose their jobs overnight. And that will cause both economic and social distress.
Okay, so James, anything on your side?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Okay, just now I was talking about indoor air quality again, about on offices, okay, workplace. So how do you see implementing interior design and the indoor air quality in one statement when it comes to the F&B sector? Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think you affect the user or the business? Chin Yew?
Yes, because if we implement this as part of a design brief, as part of a design brief for an F&B design project, all this has to be planned right at the beginning stage, where what James has highlighted about the air quality and how we should implement solutions right at the beginning so that it complements to the space, the spatial design, and at the same time, we can manage in terms of requirements and also materials to actually make it a cohesive built environment for the users. And of course, this will affect the businesses in terms of cost. You know, when the design brief gets thicker, there will be a lot more requirements, and therefore costs may go up, but it may not be that substantial. We could actually complement it with co-sharing of facilities, and that will actually bring down the cost. So all this is actually part of a program that users and businesses should work hand in hand.
Okay, so there's a question from the floor. So automated food machine is similar to ATM machine, can spread virus through touching the surface by countless numbers of people. Is there any brand or new architectural solution for this issue?
Yeah, that's a very good question. At this stage, we are exploring with specialists how the food preparation process can actually be done in the centralized kitchen and actually transported to a food locker without any human contact. And within the food locker, the food can be warmed up and it can be dispensed with the user just picking up the item from an automated tray. So we are just doing our very careful calculation how we can minimize contact on surfaces. But at the same time, I think, again, to share what James has mentioned, it is not just about surfaces. I totally agree. It's not about surfaces that transmit viruses. It's also about the air quality.
Okay, James, anything on your side to add?
Yeah, I mean, okay, based on Ching Yu's presentation, the eating space has become smaller and smaller and smaller. There's some delivery. It was replaced by delivery area or pickup area. Okay, so do you see this trend continuing, and eventually there will be more kitchens, okay, than actual F&B or actual restaurants? Do you see the trend of more kitchens so that will cater just for delivery, or will you see more also restaurants moving forward?
Well,
Yeah,
that's a fantastic question, and actually, we have encountered right now there are cloud kitchens. Cloud kitchens are just kitchens where F&B operators do their food preparation, and when there is a online order that comes in, the delivery will come over and pick up the food. So in between the food preparation to the delivery, is almost contactless. This is also to normalize the whole process of online F&B operations. So some of these F&B operators, they no longer need a physical restaurant. They actually just need a cloud kitchen. But that also puts the physical restaurants on a better light, because we are, after all, social creatures. We need time for socializing, and restaurants is definitely one of the places where we will go for any social events or activities.
Okay, so there's another question for you. So they say that you covered a topic that's interesting for local context, practical solution, insight design ideas. Any solution, say a range of 5K for local F&B setup?
Well, I wouldn't put any figures onto this broadcast right now, but of course, in our own capacity, we there's no project that's too small. There's also no project that's too big. We will try to fulfill the requirements. We definitely can talk about this separately.
Okay. So James, anything to add on your side?
Nothing much. I mean, just to add on, I think definitely the trend of going to cloud kitchens is just temporary, because eventually, like being social, we really need to interact. You know, that's why I asked that question, because a lot of people are asking me whether to still continue with their F&B businesses and stuff, because previously I also have projects that was recalled, because of the pandemic, and for them, they told me that they made the right decision. It's because you see how volatile things are. It's like up down, tomorrow two, next day next month five, then become eight, then become two again. So it's definitely affecting the bottom line, the cash flow and everything. So for them, for those projects that I was that we were entertaining before, that was put on hold or totally scraped, I told them that I think this pandemic will still linger, but for now we are starting to embrace the new normal already. I mean, our prime minister also mentioned that it will be endemic. So I think now we are more focused on solutions already, rather than just our solution will be just lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. We cannot. It's not sustainable. Lockdown is not an answer. So we need really either design solutions, innovative solutions, technical solutions, or whatever solutions. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree to that. So like looking forward to having a fruitful gathering again. So, but yeah, let's see how we can work on the project overall. So, and we can see how we can go about doing it.
How about you, Hendra, your side? I mean, in the design business, do you encounter people or clients that supposedly they have a project rolling out and then suddenly was pulled out at the last minute or something? Have you encountered this? this
Well,
type?
not so much local. Most of my projects are
Oh,
actually overseas. But because of the MCO for Malaysia, so they
mm,
are holding out. So once that is over, then we'll see how it goes. But anyway, that one is progressing accordingly. So once they allow us to start operation again, then we'll actually move ahead. Actually, they're halfway through the construction, so at the moment it's all locked down. So we have to look and wait and see how it goes.
okay. Yeah.
Right. Maybe we should engage the audience. Is there any more questions from the audience? Please put it into the Q&A box so that we can actually do a live answering to your questions. Well, maybe Hendra, you want to share your point of view about the implementing of technology and robotics into businesses and how it affects the users?
Well, for my side, not too much on this robotics. For me, I still prefer the old style of doing it, more manual. But then, in the sense that you may need robotics coming on in future. But looking at it in future, we are looking at having robotics to actually replace the human people in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So.
but I think we're creative enough. I know there are a lot of things that are going out. I mean, when it comes to architectural materials, interior materials, there are a lot of things that's going out there now. Everybody is trying to explore, and everybody have a SARS-CoV-2 testing, even the fabrics. We've been exploring about bedding fabrics, even chair fabrics or curtains. So now everyone is into this type of solution on how we can combat the spread of the virus through this through building materials or through interior design means. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is good.
there's just a solution. So I think we have to look forward in the near future. But I see a lot of opportunity for us to work together. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So I guess to end this session, please allow me to mention about Society of Interior Designers Singapore, SIDS. We are actually having our Singapore Interior Design Festival right now at National Design Center. So I'm not quite sure amongst the audience, there might be interior designers, architects that are curious about our festival. You can make a trip down to National Design Center. I think it's up to middle
16, I think.
16
yeah.
of July. Yeah. So see you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Hendra.
Thank you, Ching
Thank you.
Yu.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.